Okay.
Welcome, everybody. We're just going to give everybody a few minutes to get logged into the webinar and get started.
He's saying, Kevin's saying, have them add me in. Does that make any sense to you, Karen?
No, he should have
Okay.
clicked the link and been in.
Okay.
The link that Zoom sent,
Okay.
the one you clicked on, because that's the presenter link. Hey, everyone. We're having just a little bit of technical difficulties getting Kevin into the session, so bear with us for just a moment, please, and then we'll get started.
Okay, he's calling me. Let me just answer this real quick. I apologize.
I'm sorry for the delay, everyone. We're gonna get Kevin in. Evidently, he's having some technical difficulties, so bear with us for just a moment.
Karen, it shows him, he clicked on the link and it put him in as a attendee. I see him on the side there in the attendees. Is there any way to add him in as a presenter on the side?
Can he, hang on.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get. I don't know why it put him in as an attendee.
Oh, there he goes.
Can
It's popping up now.
he unmute his, can he, can
There you go. You hear me?
Okay, what about video? Can you get on video there, Kevin?
Oh, let's see. It just
It's down at the bottom and it's right by your microphone. It's a little camera. It should have a red line through it.
no, it's not there.
Okay, let me see what I can do here. But I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead. I'll work on that and we'll just go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody to the session today. And I'm going to turn it over to Alex and Kevin. And like I said, Alex, I will be here even though I'm going to be muted and everything if you need anything.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. We really appreciate it and welcome everybody to a interesting topic, we think. It's about the top coverages needed to protect your community association against cyber loss. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Again, I'm Alex Montclair. I'm the business development manager. So Florida is technically part of the territory that I manage. So I'm going to start by sharing screen here so we can go into it and have some kind of structure. Okay. And everybody should be able to see this now.
Hey, Alex, I'm finally on.
All right, so there's Kevin. So again, welcome. And the top coverages needed to protect your associate against a cyber loss that nobody talks about. So our presenter, again, myself, Alex Montclair, and Kevin. Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about the program?
Sure, yes. Kevin Davis, and I've been handling community association D&O for close to over 35 years. I've been a member of CAI for over 35 years. Actually, a CIRMS, a Certified Insurance Risk Management Professional. And my favorite topic is right now is talking about cyber, because cyber for community association, because right now it is one of the areas that nobody's thinking about because there's so many other things that they're worried about. So today, I'm looking forward to really talking about this. If you have any questions, let us know. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what's going on. But looking forward to this. This is a really, really great opportunity for us.
Okay, excellent. So what's the goal today, Kevin?
You know, goal today, what we're going to do is talk about the different coverages that community associations need in terms of cyber coverages. It's not just a cyber policy. Some people think they need a cyber policy. Some people think they need a D&O policy. Some people think they need a crime policy. What we're going to do is say you each one of those things you need. You need all three of those policies to be fully protected for your community association against cyber loss. So that's our goal today.
Okay, excellent. I want to get a misconception out of the way right now. A lot of people, when I think of hacking and think of cyber coverage is needed, companies like Target, Nordstrom's, Equifax, they come to mind, but that's not the case, is it, Kevin? It's the low-hanging fruit, small businesses. So this graph, it's a snazzy graph. I couldn't find an updated one, but I did get some updated numbers for everybody. In 2015, 43% of cyber attacks were aimed at small businesses. So for this presentation, community associations are considered in that target, that small business target. So, and then 55% of professionals in small and mid-sized businesses, so community associations, have said that they've experienced some type of attack in the last 12 months. So, like I said, this was information was provided by Simnatech, which is a security company offering various products. But Accenture, who are at their core tech consultants, did provide some updated numbers. Well, actually, the numbers stay the same. So 43% of attacks are against small businesses, but only 14% they added of small businesses are prepared to respond to a cyber attack. So really, Kevin, we're seeing associations attacked almost daily, right? Correct? I mean, they are on the defensive right now.
And that's the problem right now. We talk about these small businesses. The larger businesses have services out there that really help them to prevent cyber losses. But from a community association point of view or a management company point of view, you don't have the same resources that they have. And that's what creates the problem, that the inability to have a resource when you do have hacking to know what to do. And you have more and more people who are looking at these small associations, these small companies, and saying they're prime targets because they don't have that expertise. They don't have that technician there that really understands it.
Right, and because, you know, and we're going to go into, but these cyber criminals, this is their full-time job, right? I mean, they are consistently out there trying to make a profit by hacking small businesses.
And you'd be surprised how easy it is to do it. So, and again, it comes up to the next topic of what is cybercrime. And again, cybercrime is basically using your computer to get access to information. And that's using it, when you use that computer to do certain things, that's a cybercrime.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's important to note that some cyber criminals are organized, use advanced techniques, as Kevin mentioned, and highly technically skilled. Others are novice hackers. Most cyber criminals, they're looking to turn a profit. They're not in this just for fun and to cause some heartache, as ill as it is, but they really want to turn a profit. They're there to get paid, right?
And one more thing I would say, they're really looking for two things. They're looking for ways to tap in your system to get money out of your system, or to get data out of your system. They're looking for the data. And once they get that data, they will use that data on whatever they call the black market, the underground web, or something that is even technical for me to even understand how they do it. They create, all kind of problems for all of us. It's really, that's when your problem comes into play, when they pretend to be you by stealing your data.
Absolutely, absolutely. So why do community associations need cyber insurance? So a lost or stolen laptop, staff mistake, paper file, rogue employee, or vendor. I mean, one of these interesting ones for me, Kevin, always is the paper file. What does that mean?
Okay. To me, the number one of all of them is that lost or stolen laptop. Mm-hmm. Property managers, as board members, you carry a laptop around, and I, throughout my life, I had people stole my laptop out of my car, they're gone. Historically, you just buy a new laptop. Now, if you have personal identifiable information, you have information in there, and it's lost, by law, you have to do something about it. And you have to do something about it. And that's why that lost and stolen laptop are number one. Paper files, especially in our industry, paper files are a problem because, you collect applications, you collect data. And what happens is a lot of times you don't store it properly. You keep it in file cabinets year in and year out of people who used to live there for the past 10 years, 20 years, and in some file cabinet, some dusty place. And eventually they get tossed into a dumpster or just not destroyed properly. And again, there's personal identifiable information on there. And I think, Alex, right now, the key to what we're talking about is not so much the theft of money or dollars, it is a theft of data. So when you talk about lost or stolen laptop or a staff mistake or paper files or rogue employee or even vendor, you're talking about stealing data so they can do the data. And I'll give you an example, especially on the vendor part. The vendor was hacked. All the emails were hacked. He got all the data out of the system. So what the vendor did was, let's say he was a landscaper. He goes out and sends out invoices to all the clients, everybody who was on his email list, send to all the clients and say, please pay right now to avoid any late fees. And by the way, here's my new account number. And that's it. So that's the kind of things you're talking about when you're talking about, cyber-related issues to community associations. It is those, especially the relationship between the community association and the manager or the landscaper or roofer or anybody else in that association. It's not so much as that board of directors being hacked, it's everybody around them is being hacked. And all of a sudden you get that email saying, please pay now and we'll discount your money. Please pay now to avoid late fees. And here's my new routing number.
That's pretty tricky. I probably would pay. I'm worried about that kind of stuff. So that's pretty tricky and sophisticated, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're talking about costs. You're talking about data restoration. So what are the costs associated with a data breach? So before, I want to get everybody on the same page. What's a data breach? What do we define a data breach as? It's a breach that involves information beyond already public knowledge. Info includes social security numbers, account number information, and driver's license numbers. All right. That's just so everybody understands what we're talking about when we say a breach. So the first cost associated with a data breach is your forensic examination. That's when a team of cybersecurity experts are going to come in and figure out A, were you actually hacked? B, what was stolen? And C, when was it stolen? Have you guys been hacked for 15, 20 years? Am I right about that, Kevin? That's usually how that one plays out?
And that's the important part is because most people don't understand is that once they're hacked, once they learn they've been hacked, they don't know when the actual hack occurred. They could have been in their system now for months, years, you just don't know. And so when somebody gets in there and a forensic examiner looks and goes, wow, you were hacked several years ago. So when it comes to number two, that notification thing, you may be notifying people who haven't lived in that association for several years. And they got to find out who they are, find out where they live now, and find out their children. So it can be really, really, really very costly.
Yeah, absolutely, per record. So just the forensic examination itself is usually going to run you about $250 to $350 per hour, however long that takes them. Notification of affected third parties on a national level, again, this usually has to be done within the first 60 days of August, but it can vary by state, but usually it's about 60 days. And this can cost anywhere from 50 cents to about $5 per record is what kind of our research showed. The call centers, costs are typically calculated by call volume, number or weeks or months the center will be dedicated to fielding questions. I think this is an important one too, Kevin, when like you said, when you have so many people, who might have lived there 15 years ago, all of a sudden calling in and they're worried and they're concerned, they woke up at 3 a.m., they found they were hacked, and what am I supposed to do? This call center, it kind of reassures them, and tells them what the next steps are, right?
Yeah, without that call center there, you're talking about lawsuits because I don't know what's going on, you're incompetent, you know what you're doing, and that creates a lawsuit. So that call center really protects them when it comes to any kind of damages.
Okay, excellent. And the costs vary, like I said, and it could be if you want to just have a call center from 9 to 5, or, personally, I think that you want to have it 24/7 for somebody who wakes up all of a sudden in the middle of the night. Now they want to talk to somebody right now all of a sudden. So it's credit identity monitoring. So again, this is a very crucial thing you have to offer in many cases. Combined costs for credit monitoring, identity monitoring, and restoration can range anywhere from $10 to $30 per individual per year. So when you start thinking about, again, how many people were hacked, all of a sudden you have to give them this coverage, and it's $15 for 300 people, 400 people. It adds up per year pretty quickly. Public relations. This is when you have a PR team come in, take over your social media accounts, really kind of maybe get on the news, talk about what's going on to spearhead so that they can drive the conversation themselves. But as you guys are well aware, the loss of reputation and trust is sometimes incalculable. There's nothing you can do to repair that. Defense costs, again, this vary, but they could be anywhere up to $1 million is what we've seen. Fines and penalties from regulatory proceedings, again, anywhere from $1,000 again to $1 million, whatever. It really depends on how negligent the association was in handling the breach, or if they weren't proactive enough in making sure that it didn't occur in the first place. And then you have the comprehensive written information security program. This again varies, but what this is when, again, a cybersecurity team comes in, and now that everything has sort of been settled, they want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And this cost, again, varies, but it could last several years because they might have to come in again and audit to make sure that protocols are being followed. But it all varies. Is there anything you want to add into that, Kevin?
Yeah, sure. That comprehensive written information, what happens is that the state will come in and look after you've been hacked second time, because you have situations where somebody will come in and hack, and then they'll come in and hack a second time, and that's when the fines and penalties come into play. And then they'll ask, look, we want you to have this written security, so you know what you're doing, because right now you've been hacked way too many times, and I think something's going on there. So that's the key thing. Again, these 9 items, and we left out purposely number 6, extortion payment, but we'll talk about it a little while later. But most of these items right now are what you're going to run into when there's a data breach.
Absolutely. Good point on the extortion. Again, we're going to talk about it a little later. It's interesting. It's a new thing. So 2019 cost of data breach study by the Panama Institute. So how much does it really boil down to per record? When we're talking about, how large is my association, what is it going to cost per person per record? And right now it's 150. That's up a couple bucks from, I think, 2018 when it was only 148. So the costs are continuously going up, and I'm sure in a couple of years you'll see it getting higher.
And one point you got to understand too is $150 per record, as opposed to $150 per unit or per person. It could be big. If you're talking about a record, could be somebody who lived there again 5-6 years ago. It could be somebody who came on the premises and swiped their driver's license in there. It could be so much that $150 may not seem a lot of money, but if you have 100 units and you have 4 people living in units, you have a landscaper, you have all this data in there, it could be quite expensive. It could be $30,000, $40,000 just to notify everybody of the data breach.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Kevin. Excellent point. So a lot of people are probably thinking right now, and I hear this question a lot when I'm in the field and I'm talking to either an insurance agent or I'm talking to a board member, and I'm sure some people are thinking it right now, why do I need a cyber policy when the management company is responsible for the data, Kevin?
Okay. This is important because this is what we hear all the time. The management company has the data that the association owns. So if there's a data breach, there's a loss right there, then if I live in a community association, and this is what happens, this is how you'll see a loss for a community association. I'm the board president, Alex is the treasurer. I go to Alex and say, yeah, Alex, guess what? I filed my tax return and somebody got in there before me, and I can't believe it. I lost my money. Alex said, guess what? Same thing happened to you. Same thing happened to 2 other people in our association. Guess what? We've been hacked. Now, once we are hacked, it's our responsibility because of our data. Now, we can go to the management company and say, guess what? We've been hacked. We think it's your fault. We think you did it. And the management company can say, nope, it's not us. It only happened to you. Or they can say, yes, it is us, but we don't have any insurance and I don't know what to do. Ultimate responsibility for that data is the association. Perfect example is Target. Target did nothing wrong when they had a data breach those many years ago. They did nothing wrong. Somebody got through their system, the air conditioning unit system, to go in there and was able to get the data from there. But that's the other understand. It's the actual person who owns the data where the loss come from. You can blame it on associate, you can blame it on a management company, but at the end of the day, by law, you have to do something about it. And the management company can say, either A, we didn't do it, or B, we don't know what to do next. And it all goes back to the association. You have to take responsibility for it.
Excellent, Kevin. All right, excellent. Thank you. So how are they going to protect themselves? It comes down to 3 types of insurance, right, Kevin? There's cyber insurance, the crime insurance, and D&O. And we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention the crime insurance and D&O, especially with cyber and crime. They almost start to blend together some of the coverages where you think one was actually, cyber, but it's actually crime. Crime is actually cyber. So we're going to go ahead and mention those and talk a little bit about how you can properly cover yourself. So the first up is, what is cyber insurance? So it includes liability insuring agreements, which are 2 agreements. The first one, privacy security liability, is coverage for claims arising from unauthorized access to data, failure to provide notification of a data breach where required by law, transmission of computer virus, and failure to provide authorized users with access to the company website. And then you have your regulatory proceedings liability, coverage for governmental claims made as a result of network and information security liability or communications and media liability. Did you want to add anything to those 2 insuring agreements, Kevin?
Sure. Basically, what we're talking about is if you go back to those 9 examples, Alex, go back to those 9 samples, that's what your D&O insurance covers, okay? These 9 things here, we talk about insurance, we talk about the liability portion of it, that's the defense. Fines and penalties, the legal defense. 1 through 5 is your data breach And then the extortion payment is number 7. So if you have what we're talking about right now, it covers all 90s expenses. So we're talking about those 3 coverages in terms of just data breach related claims. And that's what we're talking about in a nutshell.
Excellent. Excellent. Good point, Kevin. Thank you. Let me get back to our slide here. So then the breach response and sharing agreement. So it says coverage for restoring software and data altered or damaged during a security breach. This is huge, right, Kevin? I mean, getting that back, making sure it's all intact is massive. When they can wipe out your systems, they can wipe out, your operating software, which sometimes runs companies thousands and thousands of dollars. It's massive, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the first 5 items on that list. It has to do with the call centers and the notification and all the different things that's there. You need the insurance to provide, to pay the cost of those 9 items. And that's what we're really talking about. Without this insurance, without these 3 insurance coverages, you do not have enough money to pay for those 9 items. And again, it's $150 per record. So you're talking about $30, $40, $50,000 for one loss if you have like maybe 75, 80, 100 condominium.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then the last one, but not least, is cyber extortion coverage. So this is coverage for costs associated with website lockdowns, ransomware, and other cyber extortion threats. Again, we didn't mention this earlier because we want to talk about this separately now. It's something that we're seeing more often, and it's kind of the latest and greatest tech, right, that we're seeing hackers use. So what does cyber extortion or e-commerce really look like? Well, hopefully nobody here is ever going to see these next 2 screens. It might be something like this, where your computer or your system is completely locked, and it tells you at the bottom there you have to send $300 worth of Bitcoins to obviously a very weird address. Or it might seem something more official like this one, where it's has a DOJ seal, the DHS, and the FBI, and it's locked, and it almost looks legit until you get to the right side that tells you how to unlock your computer, and all of a sudden the DOJ, DHS, and FBI are accepting money pack orders. Something's not right here, right? So that's what we're talking about, e-extortion. E-commerce extortion is any threat by an individual with the intent to cause the insured organization to transfer, pay, or deliver any funds or property using a computer system without the permission, authorization, and consent of the insured organization. So Kevin, tell us about this. I mean, what are we seeing right now with this, and how did this come about?
This is the most interesting one there because it's the easiest way to get money from community associations. If you have a server, if you're a property manager or community association with a server, you're a prime target for this kind of loss. What happens is this: they will walk into your association or your management company office, pretend to be a UPS person, pretend to be the janitorial staff, they'll pretend to be home office, and they'll say, where's your data room at? I need to, or they'll find your data room by walking in there. And what they'll do is they'll throw in a little thumb drive in there, and all of a sudden you get locked out. Or they'll just have you click on a link that you shouldn't be clicking on. They'll say, hey, guess what? We're UPS. We're from the association. Click here because we really want you to look at this. It's really important. You click on it. Now it's been downloaded and you're locked. And now all of a sudden you have to find out what a Bitcoin is, find out how to buy a Bitcoin and give it. It is happening. This is probably the #1 area of claims that we see for community associations, and when it comes in terms of data breach claims. Now, we have more claims when it comes to financial loss, but in terms of pure data breach, we see these e-extortion, the e-commerce extortion claims, quite a few. In fact, our first claim we ever seen was this e-commerce extortion. Because once that happens, you can no longer get into your system. And the problem is you don't know when it happened. So you may have backups. You may have backup, and you say, well, listen, we just delete it and go to our backup. But you don't know if that backup has been corrupted also. So you just don't know. And if you pay them, what happens? Will they give you the key to unlock it? Or will they keep the information? Will they sell it? So it's really a major problem. So if you have a community association or a management company and you have a server, they are looking for you to do this. Even on your laptop now, because a lot of stuff is in the cloud. And again, they want access to the information in the cloud. So it is really important to watch out for this kind of coverage because it is really something that's going to be prominent over the next forever because it's easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like you said, it could be just simply accidentally clicking on a link, or you could misspell a website by accident that you're looking into, and all of a sudden you're locked. You essentially went into their website and they have control. So Again, but what is a computer system? We want to go ahead and define that so you understand. This is a very broad definition of what we consider to be a computer system. It's any computer and any input-output processing, storage, or communication device, or any related network operating system or application software that is connected to or used in connection with such computer, which is rented by, owned by, leased by, licensed to, or under the direct operational control of the insured organization. That's a pretty broad definition, right? That's what we consider, right, Kevin, to be a...
Well, it's important to know that because as a association, okay, it has to be your equipment. In other words, it has to be your server. It cannot be the managed company server.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. In other words, what happens if you open up your computer and you look and go, oh, you got that, oh, we're locked out. And all of a sudden you go to your managed company and says, hey, we're locked out. Do something about it. You know, your insurance will not pick up somebody else's coverage. It won't pick up the managed company's coverage. It will only pick up your server. If you have a server, you got to have this coverage. If you don't have a server, you should have it anyway, but you definitely have it if you have a server.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Kevin.
In fact, one of our losses we had, our first losses, was somebody actually stealing the server out of the managed company's office. They stole the whole server, had all the data in there, and you know, it's just, it's.
That's wild.
It could be a mess.
That's wild. So we want to, you know, like I said, the lines become blurred sometimes in between what's covered under crime and cyber. So we want to mention two coverages right now that are under our crime policies, and then you'll see. But first being social engineering fraud. So social engineering coverage will pay the insured for loss from the transferring, paying, or delivering funds committed by a person pretending to be an employee, vendor, or client. Now, what is this, Kevin? How does this differ from cyber?
Okay. This right now is probably the most important coverage you can have under your commercial crime policy. So everybody who's listening right now, make sure you have social engineering fraud coverage, because social engineering fraud is you being tricked into giving money away. Because if somebody is pretending to be an employee, vendor, or client, and you give money away to them, that's why social engineering coverage is important. Without that, you will have the loss. The perfect example, again, is that landscaper. When that landscaper email goes out and says, here's my new routing number, please pay it now, and you pay it now, guess what happens? That is a loss that's not recoverable unless you have social engineering fraud coverage. And I would say most people do not have this coverage because it is brand new. 5 years ago, nobody heard of social engineering fraud coverage. It is brand new. And I would say most people on the phone right now who are listening on the Zoom platform probably doesn't have social engineering fraud coverage. Go back, make sure you have this coverage. This is where you will see a claim because it's easy to trick people into giving them money. And that's what this is all about, tricking them and giving them money.
And you had another example too, which is many people probably have come across, where you were out of the office, right? And somebody in the office, one of my colleagues, one of the employees actually got an email from you, they thought, saying that you needed gift cards, right?
Exactly. And again, you know, I put on Facebook or LinkedIn that I'm going to Hawaii to do a cybercrime presentation. By the time I got to Hawaii, the person who handles our bookkeeping called me up and asked me how many gift cards do I want. Now, fortunately, she called me. She could have just sent them out thinking that when I got to Hawaii, I would automatically, they would be there for me. So she called me, how many do I want? I said, I didn't ask for any gift cards. And again, what happens is that people are looking to find out where you're at, what you're doing. Then they will go in there and pretend to be you. They will pretend to be an employee, a board member, a vendor, a client, and try to get money from you. And again, it is so easy because we don't, first of all, most people are honest. So when they get a legitimate looking email that says, I need your help, can you please forward this thing to me immediately? Can you please send this to me immediately? We want to help. And if it's looked legitimately enough, we will send it. And it happens every single day. And we're talking about millions of dollars that gets thrown out there in the country, in the world, really, that never gets returned. From a community association point of view, it's maybe small. It may be reserve account, maybe some part of the operating account. It may be, you know, again, if you could a landscape or a match company contract where somebody says, please, you know, here's my new routing number. If you're suspicious, if you think that is not legitimate, call them up, make sure it's legitimate.
Good advice, good advice. And then we have telecommunications fraud. So telecommunication fraud is the unauthorized access of an organization's telephone system that results in increased service provider charges. This is a pretty new coverage as well. I think this came a little bit after social engineering, but it was created out of necessity. Can you give an example of a claim, Kevin, that you might see of this, or what does this really mean?
Sure. Telecommunication fraud is 1 year old. And the reason why it came out, because we're seeing people hack into these systems and charge. And again, we all get these robocalls all the time from all over the world, and we keep clicking on them and clicking, or we delete them or whatever they are, but somebody's making money. What happened is that we had a first claim. And again, before this thing was even produced, we had a first claim from a homeowner association where Verizon Wireless sent a $500,000 bill to an association because somebody came in and made a $500,000 worth of robocalls out of their office. Now, so they had a cyber policy. The cyber policy, guess what? It was not a hacking. Somebody actually did it. Either A, it was an employee, or B, it was somebody from the outside who gained access to that system and was able to do it. Now, Verizon forgave them for it, but in the meantime, as they were doing research, another $250,000 came in. So somebody continued to make that progress. And so Verizon eventually shut the whole thing down. But they never found out who took the money. Now, if it was an employee, it'd be covered under employee dishonesty. No problem. Employee dishonesty picks up anything by employee, any dishonest act by an employee. But if a third party, a third person came in there maybe on the weekends, maybe after work, and made these calls, then there's no coverage except for a telecommunication fraud endorsement, which is brand new. It's about $20 for this endorsement, and it's not on anybody's crime policy right now at all. It's something that's so new that most policies do not cover. Basically, what we're talking about here from the crime area is these are brand new ways of trying to get access to funds that continuously change, continuously update, and we as insurance providers have to continue to put together different kind of coverages to make sure that what we are providing is what you need. And communication fraud, social engineering fraud are the two major ones. There are also, we didn't mention, computer theft and wire transfer fraud coverage. Those are the ones that we have automatically along with employee dishonesty. That's on every standard policy, so you shouldn't have to worry about those coverages. But make sure you do have computer theft, wire transfer fraud. But telecommunication fraud, social engineering fraud are two things that most people don't even know even exist. So these are brand new coverages, and please make sure you have them.
Cutting edge coverages from a cutting edge company, right, Kevin? So
I could have said it better myself.
So again, like we said, we want to make sure you guys have a total package, a 360 coverage approach. So again, we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention the D&O liability insurance. So what is D&O?
Yeah.
Insured. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
No, okay, this is important. Before you go into what it is, it's important for one reason. The D&O policy provides broad policy. And again, we look at what a D&O provides is. It protects the insured against a claim for a wrongful act. Those three things are critical, and we'll talk about those three things are in a minute. But you will see that there's no exclusion for cyber under the crime. No exclusion for cyber under the D&O. When they don't exclude it, then you're talking about this coverage available. So it's really important to make sure you have a D&O policy, because claims that may not be picked up under your cyber policy because you don't have one, or things picked up under the crime policy, it may be picked up under the bottom line under your D&O policy.
There you go. Well said. Well said. So what is D&O? So D&O liability protects insured against a claim for a wrongful act made against them during the policy period. So key considerations for your directors and officers coverage. Who is an insured? It's an insured organization, the board, current board. Insured persons for acts in the capacity as past, present, duly elected or appointed officer, director, trustee, employee, volunteer, committee member. And it also includes spouses of insured persons and property. Now, Kevin, you can probably dive right into this, but one thing I want to ask you about that seems to be a very hot exclusion out there in the industry marketplace right now is insured versus insured. Can you talk about that first exclusion?
Sure. Okay. First of all, let's look at what we have here. These are all the people that are insured under the D&O policy, right? Who's insured? Everybody, pretty much. Everybody who's involved in a conversation. You got volunteers, committee members, duly elected, everything. And what happens is that when we talk about, first of all, so if you're insured, number one, and you go to, let's go to claim first, and I'll explain what insured versus insured when you go to the next definition. What's the next definition? Wrongful act or claim?
Wrongful act.
Wrongful act. Okay, so now you talk about the insured, it's all these different people. And the wrongful act is any error, act, misstatement, all that stuff. But really what it says, and a wrongful act is any act. So if an insured commits any act itself, okay, any act, the insured commits any act. Unlike a GL, which is only bodily injury and property damage. Those are the two things the GL covers. This says any act itself. And then you go to a definition of a claim is, which is the next one, yeah. And a claim means it means a written demand for monetary or non-monetary relief. That means you're getting sued for things that have to do with money or things that don't have to do with money. So that's why the D&O policy is so important there. It's important because who's an insured in there? Everybody who's responsible, who live in that community association, who's responsible. I don't care if you're a volunteer changing the light bulbs. I don't care if you're the volunteer that looks out to make sure that the landscaper is landscaping properly. I don't care if you are a board member. I don't care if you're an architecture review committee. You are an insured. And you're insured against what? Any wrongful act out there, any act itself. And a claim is either monetary damages or non-monetary damage. Doesn't matter. So it's a claim for anything in writing, a written demand for anything. It could be a criminal proceeding. It could be a civil proceeding. It is such a broad contract. That's why it is such an important thing to make sure you have a D&O more than anything else. So that's the basics. So we talk about cyber, it goes into those three things. So what's important is what's not covered under the policy, okay? Number one, there's no exclusion for cyber. So now all of a sudden, if the board of directors is sued because they failed to notify the individual homeowners who live there or fail to have a tech guy or fail to have anything, it is a wrongful act, and the board is sued and it's a written demand. I want restitution. I want $500,000, or I don't want any money at all. I just want the judge to say that the board messed up. I want them out of there and have a new board. So it's important to understand that from a D&O point of view, what is not covered. And one thing you just mentioned before is that insured versus insured exclusion. Most D&O policies out there exclude one insured suing another insured. And again, most policies, you do that. We can't sue each other. But what can happen is this. I can be the president of the association. I can hold Alex responsible because as a treasurer, he was social engineered and gave away the reserve account to a fictitious person instead of giving it to the roofer. We just entered into this major contract, and a major contract for $500,000 to repair all the roofs out there, put brand new roofs on. But what Alex did was he got a invoice in from the roofer that was fictitiously, the roofer was spelled with 2 F's or 2 R's, and he clicked on it or he sent out the money, reserve account's gone. Now all of a sudden I'm suing, the board's suing because they don't have $500,000 on crime for social engineering. They don't have a cyber policy, they have a D&O policy, and they will sue for that one reason: you lost the money. Now, if all of a sudden we have insured versus insured, there's no coverage. Because I can't sue Alex because of that. Even though Alex, he's the one that lost that $500,000, I can't sue him for it. And that's the difference. And you happen to believe that, let's say you have a small association where everybody was a board member at one point in time or another, or a volunteer, or a past board member. It's the same thing. If I was a past board member, president 5 years ago, and all of a sudden I'm suing Alex because he should not have done it right, again, insured versus insured won't allow it to happen. So those are the key things when we talk about the exclusion in the policy. Exclusion in the D&O policy is critical because it is such a broad contract. There's nothing broader than a D&O contract because, again, you're insured for any act, and a claim is either money or non-money. So.
Okay, good points, Kevin. So I'm not going to go over this. You guys probably have a chance to read this at this point, but I want to ask you, Kevin, my understanding is, and everybody probably wants to know right now, what is the main reason for denial of a claim? What do you usually see? Is it late reporting? Is that usually what is late reporting?
Well, I would say this. When we talk about denial of a D&O claim, okay, what it boils down to is something simple. A, it's covered by some other policy, which is your first exclusion you will see is bodily injury and property damage, okay? If it's there, it's not. Or something that's really uninsurable. Like if you do something with I would say if a willful violation of a state statute, if you willfully do something, it's uninsurable. But the main reason I would say is not really following directions. Again, a claim is a written demand for monetary and non-monetary damages. If you get a written demand and you do not send it in, you wait for the lawsuit to come in, then you have a declination because of late reporting or late notice. The D&O is really, really, really important. So let me summarize this thing up for you, Alex, and everybody who's listening. So number one, we're talking about you need 3 coverages out there. You need a cyber policy, you need a crime policy, and you need a D&O policy. They all have to be broad enough to pick up all your cyber-related claims. Number one, when you have a cyber loss, you have a data breach. Somebody actually got access to your data. I got access to Alex is the treasurer of my association. I got access to his social security number, I got access to his name, I got access to his birthday, I got access to his credit card information. Now, data breach. Not only got his information, I got everybody else in the association's data. So now all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy. I have it. It's his responsibility to do the notification. It's his responsibility to do all the call centers, do all that thing. And again, it costs $150 per record. So he is responsible for doing all that. Now, once that's done, he's happy. He goes back to his work. All of a sudden, he realizes that somebody, he opens up his laptop and finds out, guess what? Somebody got in there and locked the whole system down. So all of a sudden, he's locked out. And he doesn't know what to do. And he goes to the system and he hires somebody and finds out that he has to pay Bitcoins or else the whole system shut down. He never get access again. He won't get the key for it. But he wants that key. So he pays it. Okay. And all of a sudden, they don't give him the key. So you need the insurance to make sure that they come in there and they will get the key back. They will make sure they'll set the system back up to make sure it doesn't happen again. But now, poor Alex, who's the treasurer, now all of a sudden he's happy again because now he's in the system. And next the roofer needs his money up front. And the roofer says, give me my $500,000. Oh, by the way, I have a new routing number. Boom. Now he's nailed again. Poor Alex is getting nailed again. So he doesn't have. So he looks at insurance policy. He doesn't have engineering on there. He has telecommunication fraud. He's in trouble. So now he says, "Oh, good. I have a D&O policy that can help me out." Because now all of a sudden I'm sued by everybody who lives in an association, and the answer is the D&O policy is the one that provides the D&O coverage for him for when he is sued. Now he gets sued. He gets sued for $500,000. Will they pay the judgment? Will the judgment be covered? Things like that happen. We don't know because we know more particulars about it. Bottom line is that you need all 3 of these policies to really make a difference.
Okay, excellent. And I think Alex is going to be out of a job next year as treasurer. So yeah, we want to open it up now. We hit you guys with a lot of information. We felt that everything we said was important to share. And I'm sorry if it seems like it was too much, but if there's any Q&A, you guys can let us know now.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, type them in chat and we'll monitor them there. Give it a second to see.
You got it. And again, if there's any questions you want to ask sidebar, you can always email me or call me and we'll talk about it.
I don't have any questions coming in at all.
Okay, well, Karen, we want to really thank you and your chapter for hosting us. We appreciate the time. We understand that people are being inundated with Zoom meetings as it is right now, as you said. So, just a little time you gave us really means a lot.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin and Alex. I appreciate giving a great seminar this afternoon, and everybody else, thank you for attending. And if you have any questions, let Alex know. His email is up on the or up on the Zoom screen right now, so jot it down. And if you aren't able to, just give me, send me an email and I'll send you his contact information.
Excellent.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Take
Thanks a
care,
lot.
stay safe.
Okay.